Before we get into everything that we're going to talk about this week, I just want to let everyone know what's going on with me, why I missed last week's Unscripted, what's been up with me, why the Raw, SmackDown, NXT reviews have been a little bit shorter, why it seems like I've been half-assing them. It's complicated yet simple at the same time. If you think about it, it's been something that's been on my mind for 4+ years. I put myself in this situation, so there's not much I can do about it but try and fix it myself. 4 years ago, I lost the love of my life, somebody who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, and I've been doing everything I can to remove everything from what I had with her and move on with my life. And another part of me has been fighting with me to find a way to fix everything that's wrong with my life. I've been doing this since January, the beginning of January. At least unscripted, I've been doing content creating for about 2+ years. I've been trying to become successful at this so I can at least say I've done something with my life successfully, and to at least try and prove to her that maybe, because if there's something I want everyone to know from this is, make sure to, before you decide to do anything, whether it's go for a job, quit a job, date somebody, don't date somebody, break up with that person, don't break up with that person. Every decision that you make in your life has consequences. Every one of them. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. Sometimes you can overcome those consequences, and sometimes you can't. And so far, things have just gone from being like I was on top of the world to just falling down, down, and down. And for whatever reason, 2 weeks ago, I'm just sitting here, I'm watching stuff on TV, and a bowl of emotions just comes out and hits me like that. And I need to get better at everything that I'm doing. I want to get better at doing this. I want to be able to make this a successful venture. I want to eventually maybe talk to this person again and rebuild what we had, because it's one of those things that people be like, it's been 4 years, you should get over her, it's time to move on. And people don't realize that I have tried. People I know who I live around, or I live around here, who I talk to, should know that I have tried. If you are, and you know who you are, if you are listening to this, I just want to apologize for everything that I've ever done to you, to hurt you, and hopefully someday we can fix everything, or we can at least talk. This has not been an easy time for me. I'm trying to get right mentally. I need to go out and get a real job, as they call it, because right now this is not paying the bills, and I'm just lucky where I'm staying at to be able to do this for the time being, and that time is coming up short to where eventually I won't be able to do this anymore if I don't actually start getting some money coming in. So doing this is something I love to do. I love talking about wrestling. I love critiquing wrestling, which I know my ideas are not the best out there. I know other people have some great ones too. I listened to Asylum Monster, JD, Cultaholic, Pro Wrestling Unlimited, even though they have some terrible ideas, and other podcasts too, just to see what they say and like, I like that idea, or oh, I don't agree with that idea. I would love to just be able to get my life back on track to where it should have been 4 years ago. And it's really hard for me to do this without getting this stuff out. If anybody is listening and you know who I'm talking up to, just let them know that I'm open to talking anytime. Just let us talk and see if there's anything there. I don't want this to be hung up on either one of us anymore. It's time to either talk this out, and fix things, or completely just end it all and just move on. We are better off again apart. I don't know. I really wish I did, but this is definitely been like a really hard time for me, and I don't know how to overcome this on my own. I really hope me and you can talk again if you are listening to this, which I hope you are. I hope you do come into my channel and listen to what I say, listen when I talk about, because this is something that I hope me and you can talk about in the coming months. I know you're going through your college and stuff and everything, and you're planning on leaving the area next year, and I don't want you to leave this area without us fixing, or at least mending the bridge to be able to talk again and at least be sociable. I do miss talking to you. You were a great person in my life, and I really hope we can fix this. So that's the gist. I know it was not that long of a thing. It's 5 minutes right now, but I wanted to talk about a little bit what's going on with me. I mean, I did miss last week. This episode should have been up last week, where they had all the news that happened last week, but last week was just not a very good week for me whatsoever, and hopefully things will get better for me as we go on. You know who you are. Hopefully you'll be listening to this, and hopefully we can talk soon, because me and you have some things we need to take care of, and hopefully in the coming weeks or so things can get better. But let's get on to what we're going to talk about. On this episode of Unscripted, we are going to be talking about WWE and what made Fox attracted to them, news on Brock Lesnar, why he is going, and him being, and all of these things going around him, and New Japan and Ring of Honor have finally announced a date for Madison Square Garden. This and more this week on the future #1 podcast right here on YouTube.com. This is Unscripted. What is going on, everybody? This is the France, and we're here for Unscripted, episode number 27. I know we weren't here last week. I did that in the beginning of this show, explaining where I've been at mentally and emotionally, but let's get on with this week. And oh my goodness, Monday Night Raw was just awful. That's going to be the first story we talk about tonight, but I am going to say that Monday Night Raw was just shit. WWE wants to sit there and play the blame game about other things making Monday Night Raw terrible. We'll talk about the ratings here in a second. But what do we have on Raw that was even worth talking about? Baron Corbin singing Itsy Bitsy Spider to Finn Balor. Why? Does people find that entertaining? No. These were the go-home shows, Raw and SmackDown, 2 Extreme Rules. And coming out of both shows, it felt like, is there even a pay-per-view this weekend? We have a pay-per-view, which is, of course, a pay-per-view that WWE clearly does not give any fucks about. But WWE went out and just said, well, we'll just throw ideas at the board. Baron Corbin, things Itsy Bitsy Spider in his own version to Finn Balor. What kind of shit was this? This was in the script, and it was stupid. It was change my channel worthy. WWE is lucky that only baseball season's really going on right now. There's no NFL, there's no NBA, there's no NHL. Baseball is not. They call it America's pastime because I guess it is, but it's not. It's boring to me. I've had people come into the job I used to have telling me, like, yeah, if you watch at home it's boring, but if you're actually there, it's a different story. And that might be true, but me watching baseball on TV is. But basketball, football, hockey, all that good stuff. Having Roman Reigns in segment after segment after segment after segment, 4 or 5 segments a night. No, thank you. Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns, which are going to main event a pay-per-view when the WWE Championship is on the line, is criminal. Absolutely criminal. Monday Night Raw was terrible. SmackDown Live didn't do much better at all. It wasn't like nothing's worse than Monday Night Raw. But SmackDown Live was pretty bad this week, too. You had the tag teams. I don't know what's with WWE. Like, They do it for WrestleMania. They do it for any pay-per-view. We're on the go-home shows, and it always seems to be like, here's a tag team match with pay-per-view with enter pay-per-view name here implications, where you have Team 1 versus Team 2 with 2 singles matches fused together with the heels on one side and the babyfaces on the other. Or, as we saw with the main event of this exact same show, we had heel tag teams and face tag teams intertwined in a 10-man tag match. Why? It's lazy booking, it's uncreative, it's too just stupid. It needs to stop. WWE has got to stop with this. It just doesn't help anything. It doesn't advance storylines. It doesn't help build towards the pay-per-view. It's just like another multi-man tag team match, or another tag team match with throwing together tag teams. Give me a break. So coming out of both of these shows, Extreme Rules just doesn't feel like a show that WWE really cares about. And it feels like we come out of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, and it's like people like Extreme Rules could be missed this weekend, and you would not miss anything. It's pathetic. 205 Live, which saw Leo Rush take on Colin Delaney, and Hideo Itami, was it Hideo Itami? Yeah, Hideo Itami and Cedric Alexander in a championship match for the Cruiserweight title, which has not been defended at a pay-per-view like event since the Greatest Royal Rumble. Has had better quality since Triple H took over than SmackDown Live or Monday Night Raw have had over the last 6 months. It's ridiculous. And then we have NXT. I hear some people are complaining that Tyler Bate threw in the towel on trying to stop Trent Seven from tap, because Trent Seven went and tap out, and they say that's a bad move. I don't agree with that. You got to think, if Tyler Bate tries to come into the ring, he'll if he stops it. If he tries to come into the ring, Roderick Strong's going to come in the ring. They're going to brawl, and Trent Seven is still stuck in that move, not willing to tap out. So he did it to preserve his tag team partner's career. Will we see a rematch between these two teams at Brooklyn? I do not know. We do have another set of tapings coming in. I think it's next week. They'll definitely have to be taping them next week on Thursday probably. So we can get to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. And I think, quite honestly, the only other team that has any momentum going into the next set of tapings would be the War Raiders, if it's not Mustache Mountain. So we would have War Raiders versus Undisputed Era. The Mighty are not there yet. They just changed their name from TN61 to the Mighty. And they really haven't done anything to surprise me. So why would I don't see them being anything more than just, they're a heel tag team anyway, and of course, yes, the Undisputed Era are over as babyfaces, and they can flip the switch to being babyfaces for the night, before this feud, but no, I don't see the Mighty being tag team title contenders until War Raiders or somebody else gets those tag team titles who are on the babyface side. Aleister Black got destroyed by Tommaso Ciampa in a beautiful segment on Wednesday. That was something just great. That was just beautiful. And he made Tommaso Ciampa has got to be the greatest heel in the last 10 years in all of professional wrestling. The dude follows nobody on Instagram. He talks shit on people on Instagram but does not at them. He has his one design that he wears that refuses to that WWE shop make him shirts so people could be wearing those shirts. He's like, no, I'm a heel. I'm supposed to do, this is my stuff. Nobody's supposed to have my design but me. I don't want to be the cool heel. I want to be the heel that people say to when I pass in the street, flip me off and say, fuck you, Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa is the quintessential blueprint for a perfect heel in the wrestling business. He is. And of course, Aleister Black. 2 weeks from this past Wednesday, will be facing off against Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship on TV, NXT TV. Ciampa's not winning the title there. I don't see it happening. Johnny Gargano is going to get involved. I guess, and Silent Monster did put it out there that it should become a triple threat match. And somehow, Johnny Gargano has to watch, and I pitched it on Wednesday that Gargano hits something on Aleister Black goes for the pin, gets hit with Project Ciampa, and ends up rolling out of the ring, or something, where he ends up rolling out of the ring, and Tommaso Ciampa gets the pinfall, and Johnny Gargano, somehow, someway, and I think this one sounds nice too, instead of what I was saying, have him get handcuffed to the ring ropes. Have him get handcuffed. I think JD put this one out there the other day. Have him get handcuffed to the ring ropes in Brooklyn. Project Ciampa to black. 1, 2, 3. Johnny Gargano has no choice but to watch his enemy, the guy who used to be his brother, beat Aleister Black for the NXT Championship while he's there, stuck there and not able to do anything. That would be great. Next week we do have a fatal four-way: Bianca Belair, Kairi Sane, Candice LeRae, and Nikki Cross. Winner goes on to face Shayna Baszler, most likely at Brooklyn. I don't think they're going to pull that before Brooklyn. They did not say it was at Brooklyn, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be for Brooklyn. Of course, Kairi Sane is the only one that I think should have a shot coming out of this. Yes, Candice LeRae had a nice interaction with Shayna Baszler and did the one thing that nobody else has done yet to Shayna Baszler, but walk up to her, get in her face, and then slap the taste out of her mouth. It was great. That was definitely great. Something, again, WWE up in the main roster should be taking notes on how to present their women. Because NXT, you see Shayna Baszler, Kairi Sane, Dakota Kai, Bianca Belair, Vanessa Bourne, Candice LeRae, all these women feel, well, Vanessa Bourne not as much, but Dakota Kai, Kairi Sane, Candice LeRae, Bianca Belair, Nikki Cross, who's going to be going up to the main roster. She's already started over there, and next week's episode is probably going to be her last episode of NXT. All these women feel important. How many women on the main roster feel important? Zero. None. Nada. Zero. It's just WWE has done nothing but mismanage their women and make them feel like they don't even matter. You have Carmella, who can't win a match, who can't wrestle a match, and she is so unimportant and so not over that they had to go out and get the little chinless one, James Ellsworth, to bring him back to even give her a buzz. That's pathetic. If you have to go out and get James Ellsworth worthless. He is worthless. You had to get him to make her feel important, which it still did not work. I'm over this James Ellsworth thing. Realize James Ellsworth has had more time on on SmackDown TV for the last month than Samoa Joe and Andrade Cien Almas and Tyler Dillinger and Shelton Benjamin. Think about that one. James fucking Ellsworth has been on TV and had more TV time and been more segments than a Samoa Joe and Andrade Cien Almas, a Ty Dillinger, a Shelton Benjamin, and anybody else in the bar. That just blows my mind at how bad WWE is. This week in review, that's the week in review right there. SmackDown and Raw sucked. NXT was pretty good itself. And now let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Still, this week's Raw shows the lowest ratings in WWE's history of the show. WWE's Monday Night Raw featured a final Raw brand hype for the Extreme Rules, which it didn't feel like it, with Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins in the main event. Drew 2.47 million viewers. This is down 8.8% from last week's 2.707 million viewers and a new viewership low for 2018. This is also the lowest Raw viewership in history, coming under the 2.478 million viewers for the September 26, 2016 episode, which went up against Trump-Clinton's presidential debate on Monday night and Monday Night Football. For this week's show, the first hour drew a 2.582 million viewers. Last week's hour, Raw was number 4 tonight with the viewership on cable behind Hannity, Tucker Carlson tonight, and the Ingram show, Angle. Raw has number 2 and 18. Hannity top tonight. It's just funny because there's things out there saying, there's articles out there saying, I think it was from Forbes, that said that this is not Roman Reigns' fault or Baron Corbin's fault, or anybody on the show. No, political views, because Donald Trump was going out there and naming a new Supreme Court justice, or nominating a new Supreme Court justice. So Roman Reigns being in 4 or 5 segments Did not hurt. Having Baron Corbin sing Itsy Bitsy Spider, his own rendition of Itsy Bitsy Spider, did not. I'm sorry. If I wasn't doing this on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, and all that stuff, I would have turned the TV off immediately. I actually had to switch the channel for a second because I didn't want to hear this shit. Because I have PlayStation View and I use my PS4, I can use a nice little touchpad in the middle to click down and switch to another channel. I did that for a few seconds just to get that shit off of there. How many people would you, if I did that and I came back and watched, how many people do you think turned off the channel, turned off the show, and didn't go back? WWE has got to realize that you can't blame other things. You have to look yourself in the mirror. This is summertime, where baseball really isn't a big deal until you get to the playoffs. And there's no football, there's no basketball, there's no baseball. Fuck the president shit. No, half the people who are watching wrestling do not care. The Bachelorette, they're going to also say, oh, well, the Bachelorette was there because it was also a reason because it had a great lead-in from the Justice announcement. Give me a break. Who watches the Bachelorette? It's scripted. I honestly don't get anyone who watches The Bachelorette, Big Brother, like the Total Divas, Total Bellas, any of those reality shows. They're all scripted. Every single one of them. Anytime you see two people fighting, they're not fighting for real. It's whatever the script tells them to do. If you see two people bickering over a piece of cheese, it's because it was written in the script. You see two people arguing on The Bachelorette over this fucking this fucking hoe who's sitting there trying to find a date between all these guys. It's because it's in the script. The whole John Cena and Nikki Bella relationship, every single day that they ever bring it up, makes it more and more that it was scripted from the start. Everything on reality TV is scripted. They say what they're told to say. They do not have their own opinion. Just saying. So WWE needs to look themselves in the mirror. I'm happy they got that low rating. I want it to get down below the twos. Below the twos. WWE and Fox, if I was you, I'd be watching this with a clear eye. NBC, I'd be watching WWE Raw with a magnifying glass. And have them, the ratings, here's the thing when it comes to Fox next year, and we'll talk about that in a second. WWE right now is on USA where ratings really don't matter. The ratings do not matter. They make enough money as it is from commercials and everything else. When they put SmackDown on Fox, if those ratings dip below a certain threshold, Fox will step in and be like, listen, you need to get the ratings up or we're going to take that contract and you're not getting another dime. Fox, WWE is going to have to make SmackDown the A show on Fox. And when they start doing that with SmackDown, Vince will be like, hey, we want SmackDown. We don't want SmackDown to be the best show. Then we'll have to make Raw the better show. And those shows next year, leading into 2020, should start being a lot better because if SmackDown is being hard-pressed by Fox to put on good television, then WWE will have to then WWE and Vince McMahon will make Monday Night Raw better too. That's all we can hope for once in our lives. Speaking of Fox, why was Fox attracted to WWE for their new deal? Sports Business Daily has a new article looking at how WWE's new deal with Fox marked the end of more than 2 years of negotiation among TV networks looking to land deals with the WWE and the UFC. The article also looks at how two of the top entertainment agencies went head-to-head for their clients' endeavors worked the 5-year, $1.5 billion deal between UFC and ESPN, while creative artist agency CAA crafted the $2.34 billion deal between WWE and NBC Universal and Fox. While considering the future without UFC, Fox started looking at other sports content to fill nights on its broadcast network as part of a new strategy that focused on live programming in prime time. It sounds like Fox first started looking at WWE sometime in 2017, and Fox insiders were attracted to the consistently high ratings and passionate fan base that WWE has. I would not say consistently high ratings because anything that twos, I guess, if you want to say 2 with a high rating, then I don't know what the hell you've been watching lately. WWE negotiations period with the NBCU ran out until mid-May as this year, but officials had already been making the rounds to get to know other TV executives through a series of get-to-know-you meetings. The networks had one significant issue. Endeavor's owners, UFC, and Endeavor's Ari Emanuel is friends with Vince McMahon, who asked Ari to represent WWE during the media talks. Networks did not feel comfortable negotiating with the same person who was working on behalf of two competing sports brands. This was seen as a conflict of interest, and networks made it clear to WWE. Officials, WWE hired CAA, a top rival of the Endeavor, soon after a WWE show in Los Angeles during the spring of 2017, where Fox Sports president Eric Shanks pulled Vince to the side to point out the conflict of interest Fox pushing for the change annoyed Ari and indicated that UFC and Fox would have trouble coming to a deal. Stephanie McMahon, Triple H co-president George Barriso, and co-president Michelle Wilson met with ESPN executives 4 times from December 2017 through the spring. ESPN had upped their coverage of WWE and was receptive to talks, but it was soon clear that the deal was not going to be reached. Yeah, WWE on ESPN. Yeah, I don't think that would have worked out real well. I'm just saying. The issue between ESPN and WWE came down to scheduling, as Raw and SmackDown reproduce every week, and ESPN cannot afford to give any sports 52 weeks a year. ESPN did consider WWE programming for their ESPN Plus streaming service, but that would have directly competed with the WWE network. Oh yeah, that wouldn't have worked at all. WWE soon targeted Fox and made it clear they were interested. Fox did the same. Shanks and other Fox executives were shown on camera during a May 2017 Raw show from the Staples Centers in Los Angeles. WWE was still in the exclusive window with NBCU, which ran until mid-May, but Stephanie, Triple H, and other WWE execs made a point to visit the Fox lot for an informational meet and greet. WWE told Fox executives that they could not discuss terms of a potential deal until NBC's exclusive window closed, but both sides were interested. Yeah, so WWE actually had talks with ESPN. I kind of find that funny because ESPN does not seem like some like they said they can't afford to do 52 weeks a year. Yeah, they do NBA, they do Major League Baseball, they do Monday Night Football every Monday for a 3-month period. They can't really do 52 weeks a year on a Monday or a Tuesday. So it wouldn't have made sense for them to do that, and it would have pissed off a lot of WWE fans if they would have said, well, we'll do the deal, but you have to put Raw and SmackDown or Raw or SmackDown on ESPN Plus, and that's the only way you'll get it. Vince McMahon and WWE would not have liked that because, yes, they do have the WWE Network, and if they want to put Raw and SmackDown on a streaming service, they could put it on the WWE Network. No question asked. I just find that kind of funny that was a thing. Bonnie Hammer, a longtime friend of WWE's and chairman of the NBC Cable Entertainment Group, was leading the renewal talks with WWE. Mark Lazara, chairman of NBC Broadcasting Sports, oversees all major sports rights negotiations for NBCU, but they viewed WWE as an entertainment property, so Hammer led the talks while he was on hand to participate in strategy sessions and offer advice. NBC officials knew Fox was interested in WWE, but they believed WWE ultimately would stay on the USA Network. They also believed WWE fans want consistency, as they knew where they could go to see Raw and SmackDown on Tuesdays. I really would have liked for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live to both go to Fox, for the simple fact is Monday Night Raw needs to get out of this 3-hour loop. The 3 hours is way too long. There have been multiple times, I believe this year, me and a couple other people have said, if you would take off an hour of this show for this specific Raw on this specific week, it would have been a great show. If it would have been, it would have been a great show. It was a good show, but that third hour really killed what was going good with Monday Night Raw. If they would have went to Fox, it would have been from 8 to 10, and that would have been it, because most Fox broadcasting services have news at 10 o'clock with no overrun. So you would have had 8 to 10, no overrun, which would have been great. SmackDown's going over there. It would have got more eyeballs on Raw and SmackDown because you wouldn't have to have a cable box. And I find it funny how they say fans want consistency because, again, USA was Monday Night Raw not on the TNN Spike TV network for Viacom for about 5 years. So you still want to write out that consistency thing, but there was a 5-year period where you did not have WWE programming. I still don't understand. I still don't get how USA Network survived without Monday Night Raw. WWE had been averaging $130 million per year for each show in previous deals, and that figure was considered well below the market value by network executives. WWE officials knew they would negotiate from a strong position and decided to split their TV package in two. CAA told Hammer they wanted $265 million per year for Raw and $200 million per year for SmackDown, a $380 58% increase. NBC exclusive window closed on May 16th, and they informed WWE they would take Raw $265 million, but they would not renew SmackDown. The next day, WWE executives visited Fox office in New York City for the meeting that included Rupert Murdoch. The $205 million per year deal that would move the Blue brand back to Fridays was settled in that day as both sides quickly realized they were close to an agreement. WWE signed the 5-year SmackDown deal with Fox and renewed a 5-year deal with NBCU for USA. For Raw. But it's also noted that Fox and WWE officials are still planning a celebration once they are all in the same city. Okay. So, yeah, that's all there is on that. We will talk about how Jonathan Coachman in a little bit takes credit for this whole entire thing, this entire Fox deal. Jonathan Coachman takes credit for his work at ESPN to make this happen. I'll have my reaction to that later. But yeah, so WWE, again, I wish would have got both deals on Fox because it would have cut down on the quantity of Monday Night Raw. So instead of having 5 hours of Raw and SmackDown, you would only have 4 hours. That's one less hour. Both are from 8 to 10 with no overrun, and it would be great. But now we're still stuck with this 3-hour drubbing of Monday Night Raw, which is going to suck ass for the rest until WWE actually realizes, or Fox gets, if SmackDown starts to deteriorate on Fox, again, like I said earlier, Fox will get in, will call up Vince and be like, listen, you need to up this quality or this contract we signed is going to go away. We'll cancel SmackDown on Fox and you'll have to find a new home. They'll be like, okay, fix it up, and then when SmackDown starts outperforming Raw like it does most of the time anyway, then they'll start turning Raw around. A lot's going to happen in the next year, but I guarantee you SmackDown and Raw are going to suffer at the beginning. WWE pay-per-views changed for the end of the year. First reported by Mike Johnson of PW Insight, WWE is changing their pay-per-view schedule for the rest of this year. TLC, which was scheduled to be held in October, will be held on December 16. This makes the Super Showdown in Australia the only event for October and effectively gets rid of Classic Champions event altogether. The current schedule looks like this. Extreme Rules, which will be up this weekend, tomorrow I should say. SummerSlam on the 19th of August. The 19th of September, the 16th of September, we have Hell in a Cell. Super Show on the 6th of October, Survivor Series on the 11th of November, and TLC on December 16th. That's a good thing. For the fact is, what happened last time with the Greatest Royal Rumble, hopefully somebody in WWE got just had an epiphany for a minute and was like, wait a minute. We just did this in October, in December, not in December, April, in May. We had WrestleMania, Greatest Royal Rumble, and Backlash was absolutely ludicrously worthless. You just had you pretty much had a glorified house show as a pay-per-view on the WWE Network, and then a week later, you had Backtrash, whatever you want to call it. This helps free up. Which, at the Super Showdown, I think should be a week later, just to have that little bit more free time. But you have all of the rest of September and the beginning of October. But then but hopefully, with this being the case with the Super Showdown, hopefully outside of Undertaker and Triple H's match, every match they will have there will have stories built into it. It's not just going to be we're just going to throw things on there and make it another glorified house show. That's my fear of them doing, is making this a glorified house show. But with the fact that they took TLC and put it back in December where it used to be, that's a good thing and makes the Super Showdown a little bit more important than, here you go, we just had Hell in a Cell, here's the Super Showdown, and here's TLC a couple weeks later. Good to know. Before we get into anything else, minor update on current injured superstars. Wrestling Observer newsletter sheds some light on the 3 injured WWE superstars who will reportedly be returning to action sooner rather than later. Charlotte Flair ruptured implant is estimated to return in approximately 3 weeks. Dean Ambrose tricep injury is estimated to return at the end of the summer, a little bit after SummerSlam. They're saying more around September. Jason Jordan with his neck injury will be returning soon with it is appropriate for storylines. He's actually been cleared. Another news on another injury. Lars Sullivan, we did report like 2 weeks ago, like the week after TakeOver New Orleans, Chicago too, that Lars Sullivan had a broken jaw. That is actually not the case. Dave Meltzer had reported that the broken jaw was just storyline. Apparently, and I think I saw this tweet too, and I just threw it off of there. Someone said they actually found that exact X-ray on Google Images, and it was dated from years ago. So the broken jaw from Lars Sullivan was pretty much in storyline to hold the mystique that the only reason he lost is because he was tough. He broke his jaw early in the match, and he fought with a broken jaw. He toughed it out, but he ended up succumbing to it, and that's why he lost, to keep that mystique. I like the fact that they would do that. It definitely helps. I mean, it's not great to actually go out there because a favorite wrestler from the UK of mine called Primate had his jaw completely shattered and broken, and he actually retired from wrestling because of that. So using a broken jaw as pure storyline kind of irks me just a little bit, because I know a professional wrestler who just recently retired because of a shattered jaw. That is your news on those. No mention on Brock Lesnar this past Monday on Raw. Why was this? There was no mention on Brock Lesnar on this past Monday's Monday Night Raw, was pointed out on Dave Meltzer on the latest episode of Wrestling Observer Radio. Lesnar appeared at UFC 226 this past Saturday and shoved new UFC heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier, teasing a future fight between the two real-life friends. Lesnar also put himself back in the USADA drug testing pool this past last Tuesday, not this past Tuesday, the Tuesday before that, making him eligible to fight again for the UFC on or after January 8th, 2019. Despite the UFC appearance fitting perfectly with WWE storyline about Lesnar wanting to lead the company for the UFC, there was not a single mention of Lesnar on Raw. Meltzer noted there must be something up and that something has to change regarding the company's relationship with Lesnar in the past weeks. That is not the case. Why they did this is because McMahon wanted the sole focus to be on Extreme Rules and Extreme Rules only. McMahon told employees during the production meeting that the Beast can be brought up again when he is being offered to our audience and we can capitalize on it. Also noted that Vince is adamant at portraying Lesnar as a champion and has abandoned the fans, which he never cared about the fans in the first place. So how can somebody, and this makes no fucking sense. We'll talk about it in a second. Abandoned fans, which in turn gets Roman Reigns cheered. Now, if the two do happen to face one-on-one at SummerSlam, only problem is that Lesnar currently isn't advertised for SummerSlam, which he is now. Barclays Center, however, also according to Meltzer, Lesnar is on the Barclays Center advertising for Raw after SummerSlam, despite not being pictured for the Raw on the venue's website or advertised at all on the WWE's website. That makes Vince McMahon is adamant at portraying Lesnar as a champion that has abandoned the fans. Brock Lesnar, since 2011, when he came back, I think it was 2011, 2012, whenever he came back, did not care about the fans. How could you abandon the fans if you never cared about the fans? That makes no sense. If that is Vince McMahon's thinking, that he's abandoning the fans, he doesn't give a fuck about the fans, tell me something I don't know. Tell me something that isn't fucking obvious. Brock Lesnar has never, ever cared about the fans. It's about checks and championships. He only cares about his money and his time, and that is it. The fans do not matter. This is not going to get Roman Reigns cheered. This is not going to get any sympathy from Roman Reigns. You have Roman fucking Reigns in the main event of Extreme Rules when the WWE Championship is on the line, and he's not in that match. You cannot be serious, Vince, that this is going to get Roman cheered because he's abandoned the fans. Brock Lesnar never cared about the fans when he came back. Brock Lesnar never cared about the fans when he left in 2004. Brock Lesnar has never cared about the fans. You are dumb as fuck if you think otherwise. This is your plan, Vince. Oh, we'll have Vince. No, he's abandoned the fans. He doesn't care about the fans anymore. He never did. And this is what you're going to go with. He abandoned the fans, so we're going to have so Roman Reigns is he is the Samoan Knight in all of WWE. He's going to slay the Beast. Does anyone else see what's wrong with this picture? This is what Vince McMahon has for Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. He's leaving the fucking WWE. He is going to UFC with a meaningless title. With a meaningless title. The Universal Championship has no meaning whatsoever. Why do you think, why would I care? Why would anyone fucking care Roman Reigns winning that championship right now means nothing. Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins, nobody winning that title means anything. I can go out there, have Brock Lesnar knocked out, me win the Universal title, it would mean nothing. Nothing. The title, the man makes the title, and Brock Lesnar has made that title worthless. That title barely had any worth when he won it. That title has zero worth now. This is Vince McMahon's plan. When Vince have it. We're gonna have Paul Heyman come out after Extreme Rules and talk about how Brock Lesnar is leaving the WWE after SummerSlam with the Universal Championship, and he expects the fans to be pissed at him. Oh, how could this guy leave us? This would be different if somebody like John Cena won the WWE Championship and pulled the same shit after years and years and years of talking about how the WWE is his home and he's not going anywhere. This would get somebody pissed at John Cena. You'd be better doing this with John Cena if he won the WWE Championship, was off doing his promotions for his movies on NBC and all these other places, and was the WWE champion, and he wasn't on Raw or SmackDown, and he was saying, well, I'm leaving, the match at SummerSlam, the match at WrestleMania 34 with me as WWE champion is going to be my last match, and I'm going to take the WWE championship with me because these fans, they gave up on me, I give up on them. You would have people hate John Cena and cheer somebody for that than what you're doing now. Because for years, John Cena has come out and said he does this with a passion. He loves this business. And for somebody like him, if he was to go from saying, I love this business to fuck the fans, I'm going to go do me, and I'm not coming back. I'm your WWE champion, and I'm not going, and you're going to never see this title again. You would garner more hate for that than this. Because you're trying to sell Brock Lesnar as somebody who doesn't care. We know that. You have to have somebody like a John Cena who has carried the WWE banner for years, turn his back on the fans, turn heel, and go out and say, I'm not going back. I retired. It would have to take a lot of money for me to come back. You're using the wrong guy, Vince. If you want somebody to get over, you have to use John Cena in the same role, but you're not going to do that because you don't want him to be hated, even though people do. Speaking of Brock Lesnar showed up at Use 26 again, and after the incident, U.S. President Dana White said that the company was definitely going to make a Brett Okamoto from ESPN reports that Lesnar had re-entered the USADA testing pool in preparation for another fight, according to the MMAJunkie.com. Lesnar rejoined the USADA testing pool on July 3rd. Lesnar still has around 6 months remaining in his suspension after failing a pair of drug tests following his UFC 200 fight against Mark Hunt. Lesnar had defeated Hunt via unanimous decision. However, the result was changed to a no contest. He will be eligible to fight again on or after January 8, 2019. Then there was also the story that came out is that two no-names, I can't remember their names, I'm not going to look at the story, UFC fighters who are not named Brock Lesnar, are not named Conor McGregor, are not named Ronda Rousey, who is now in WWE, came out and were pissed the fact that Brock Lesnar brought WWE-style shoots, promoing to the UFC. To those two no-names, I don't care what your names are because you're not important enough for me to tell. Have you been one of the highest grossing pays, buy rates have you been on the highest grossing pay-per-view buy rates in UFC history? Are you Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, or Brock Lesnar? No? Then keep your mouth shut. Plain and simple, keep your mouth shut. Until you actually draw a dime. And you're the reason that people are paying their hard-earned money to watch you fight. You can shut your damn mouth. UFC's buy rates are dwindling. Their pay-per-view buys are dwindling. People are not watching like they used to. Dana White sees this. He knows what's worth. He knows Brock Lesnar is one of the highest viewed guys in the UFC. Him, Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey are two of the top three, three of the top highest grossing pay-per-view dime drawers in UFC history. So if Dana White wants to use, like Dana White's just using Brock Lesnar as a marketing tool to get that buy rates in, to get those pay-per-view dollars in. He might even have Brock Lesnar announced like he won't be able to fight until the January 2019, but he might in December or November have Brock Lesnar appear as a celebration of the 25-year history. He probably will be there. Guess what? People are probably going to buy that one. If Brock Lesnar is announced to appear at a pay-per-view, I guarantee you, people are going to buy. Even if he's not fighting, I guarantee you people are going to buy. Maybe that halfway through the show, they have all the top 25 MMA fighters of all time come in, and Brock Lesnar's on there. Or and during that, they'll have Brock Lesnar and Daniel Cormier build up their fight again, continue to build their fight on this pay-per-view. People are going to buy because Brock Lesnar is money to the UFC. Brock Lesnar is money. Look at UFC 200 and look at every single pay-per-view buy after that. Dana White is a businessman. Dana White knows what makes money for him and what doesn't make money. You guys worry about your fights because you probably haven't even been on a pay-per-view yet. You've probably been on the UFC fight nights or the prelims. That's about it. Don't worry about what Brock Lesnar brings to UFC. If it puts money in your check and puts food on your table, shut your fucking mouth. That's all I gotta say. Speaking of Brock Lesnar, his advocate looks to be working backstage. Fightful.com is reporting Paul Heyman was backstage at Raw this week in Boston and was credited as a contributor to multiple segments on the show. According to the report, WWE listed Heyman on the production script along with several writers on setting up this week's opening segment between Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns. Additionally, Heyman was listed for Lashley's live shots later on in the show, which makes it understandable why Bobby Lashley wasn't as shit as she usually is. Which is a job that usually sees the person on the show, and he is listed as a road writer, which is a job usually sees that person writing scripts for interviews and backstage altercations. Good for Paul Heyman. The WWE would be doing an injustice when Brock Lesnar leaves that they would lose Paul Heyman in one way or another. I know that they want to try and. I know Paul Heyman said he would stick around to work with Ronda Rousey or heel Roman Reigns when Brock Lesnar leaves, but if he's helping out with the show on Monday Night Raw, it is a much improvement one way or another. You might not see it right away, but if anybody can help Bobby Lashley with his fucking promos, it would be nobody other than Paul Heyman. Just saying. Former Divas Champion is the first competitor of the Mae Young Classic. WWE announced this week that former Divas Champion Caitlyn will be a competitor on this year's Mae Young Classic. Caitlyn is likely best remembered for a 2013 feud with AJ Lee, and before that, her partnership with AJ Lee as the Chick Busters. Caitlyn did say that Caitlyn comments on how she grown since her first run. The first thing that got me through as a rookie in WWE and the thing that allowed me to achieve my level of success was my attitude, and looking back now, I am coming back with experience. I am certainly nervous because the level of competition is so much higher and there are so many different women from around the world and then bring skills, levels, but it's just so exciting. Since I came back, I had the opportunity to work backward and really nail down the fundamentals and the basics, things that I really lacked during my first run, with the WWE. Now I am bringing these newly honed and developed skills that I have acquired recently, and I am combining that with my fearless attitude, and because I don't have this rookie vibe about me, now I can really concentrate on surprising the WWE Universe with all the things I have learned. Caitlyn then also had to say on why she decided to return to wrestling after a 4-year retirement. The highs and lows and the adrenaline rushes and the quick thinking on your feet, it came rushing back to me. Anytime you step back in the ring, it's the same rush and you never used to it. There's always this fear and this question of, oh my gosh, can I do this? And I mean, to me, that's the part that makes it amazing. It's about finding things that drive you and fuel you, and you can work 18 hours a day or however many hours a day you still want to go back to the ring or do this in the gym. As long as you're passionate about it, you feel happy, and to me, that's the balance. So, yeah, they also announced Rhea Ripley and a couple other ones, too. Off the top of my head, I can't get them. I did not grab the article. I apologize. But the Mae Young Classic is starting to shape up. There's at least 6 competitors announced. Rhea Ripley, of course, was number 2. There was a couple other ones I can't remember off the top of my head. I should have got the article, and that's my apologies. But this one For all the people who have an ego in WWE, this has got to take the cake for the week. Jonathan Coachman takes credit for WWE's Fox deal happening. Jonathan Coachman returned to WWE after Royal Rumble and took a seat on the commentary team. They had WrestleMania 34, but Jonathan Coachman's returned the night after the Royal Rumble. So whoever wrote this article needs to get their shit together. It was after the Royal Rumble. When they were on, the coach spent 9 years at ESPN between stints with Vince McMahon and company, but pro wrestling never left his radar. Fox agreed to a $1 billion 5-year deal with Fox for SmackDown Live programming. The deal is complete when Fox will start airing the Blue Branch show on their flagship channel on Friday starting in October 2019. The law announcer recently appeared on Busted Open Radio. Coaching explained how WWE's television deal with Fox Sports can be credited to work he did to help the WWE gain mainstream exposure through ESPN. First and foremost, Coach, you're fucking stupid. WWE has always had mainstream. You're going to sit there and say you're the reason they got Fox's deal? John Cena's been out there doing his thing. The Rock has come back and done his thing way before you decided to come back to WWE. You have all these other people with mainstream. You have The Miz going out there and doing mainstream things. And yet you're going to say you did it? Yeah, right. 3 years ago, I got a call and WWE was like, we really want to get on ESPN. Coachman said, not only because it was the right thing to do, but they're like, can you help us? Because other than the occasional Rock showing up for a movie promo, there was no consistent content on any mainstream media because Vince and the executives at WWE knew this day was coming. I knew if I wanted to do more than just ESPN, that was a good way to help and to help facilitate. I got into fights, I pushed the envelope, and I got 4 other guys to help me, and we called them Coaches Group. Yeah, if I'm in Coaches Group, I went out. We just got given credit by the president and company to Wall Street by helping facilitate this Fox deal. So they took our content that we did every single week on SportsCenter, then we got stuff into SportsCenter every single week. They took that content to Fox. They had meetings with ESPN and said, listen, after the shock value of the few people who called and saying, I can't believe they're having wrestling content on our beloved SportsCenter, after that shock value wore off, they came in the droves. Coachman said the work he did with ESPN still lives on to this day. Fox looked at the mainstream attention WWE has been getting and proposed to take it to another level. Fox Sports plans to implement WWE in crossover promotional tactics, and WWE will have the already established Fox audience. There is also talk about bringing WWE news show to FS1 akin to UFC Tonight. When it comes to the WWE Talk news show, if it's not like a Talking Smack, where it breaks kayfabe, you have like people using their actual names. When the Usos were on Talking Smack once, I remember this. It was right after they turned heel. Renee Young was not calling them Jimmy and Jay. She was actually using their shoot names. I was like, okay. Then you have that famous Miz promo, which everyone wants to. Everyone's like bases that the feud that Miz and Daniel Bryan should have on that promo. If it's not something like that, I don't want it. I don't want to see BS shit that we usually see. We don't want to see stuff that's in kayfabe. Give us stuff that's happening around the wrestling world that affects WWE. I don't want to see... We already have something called on the network called This Week in WWE. If you want to watch things that a recap of WWE programming, go to the network and look up This Week in WWE. They usually air the newer episodes of it on Saturdays, I'm pretty sure. They started an entire website that still lives today because of that, and I'm not saying it's the entire reason, but it's a big part of the reason that his $1 billion deal was done, because Fox has actually looked at what we did on ESPN and said, imagine if we had a partner instead of just a platform. That's why I'm so excited about what Fox can be and what we can do for the fans. We have a huge have an opportunity now to be with a huge company and a huge media company, which just got sold. Is getting sold to Disney, while the Fox Sports portion of this is being sold off to somebody else. Yeah, they took what we did and said we can make it bigger, we can make it better, and we can make it reach more fans than the world over. That's how it happens. So when I read stories from certain people, and you know who you are, that write stories as if they are fact, but they are so off base, that when I had an issue with what was written and what we did at the end of the day, I can't get caught up in the mud because I need to focus on the deal we got done. That you cannot dispute. We get the deal done. Okay, so yeah, Coach, you want to sit there and say he's pretty much saying, hey, it's me and everything I did at ESPN is why this deal is happening. Give me a fucking break. It might be a portion of it, even though he said at the end, but it's like, if you read that, if you don't read it all, you're like, Coach is really taking complete credit for this, isn't he? complete credit for this. Yeah, I don't think so. WWE, it's been a long time coming. WWE, and another thing when we get back to the TV deals, the reason that WWE's last TV deal that they had with NBC was so low, it was in 2014, I believe, and it was so low is because WWE made the mistake of having the WWE Network launch at the same time as their TV deals were up, and NBC Universal saw that as a bad thing. And they got they were boasting before that they were going to get this $1 billion deal back in 2014 when all this happened, and it didn't happen that way. Is it the main reason, which is what he's making it sound to be? No, it could be a portion of it, but I'm pretty sure John Cena's had a lot to do with it because of his voice, him going out and being on all these talk shows on NBC all the time, out there doing all this publicity work. Miz and everyone else. Everybody in WWE had a part in this, not just Coach. Coach might have a small portion, but not as big as he wants to make it sound. This next one, I don't even want to know. Is WWE planning 2 WrestleManias in 2020? Did we have the greatest Royal Rumble, or did we not have the greatest Royal Rumble? Well, double your pleasure, double your runtime. I don't think there's any secret to the fact that WrestleMania is a long show, like a very long show. This year's WrestleMania 34, counting the kickoff show, ran over 7 hours. The second year in a row, that has been the case. That's just insane when you think about it. But if a new rumor is true, things might actually be getting even worse. According to the No Holds Barred Wrestling Show, WWE will be considering running 2 WrestleMania events in 2020. The idea would be similar to what was done in the Royal Rumble and the Greatest Royal Rumble earlier this year, meaning the second event may not be the same as the actual WrestleMania, but may have a similar name. The additional show would be taking place outside the United States. Here are some of the comments with transcription, courtesy of RingsideNews.com. WWE is looking to have 2 WrestleManias for 2020. One will be called WrestleMania. The other one will be like the Greatest Royal Rumble. I don't know if it will be the Greatest WrestleMania or just Mania or something like that. In 2020, that's when you already will be on Fox for 6 months or whatever. That's when you'll have 2 WrestleManias, one in North America, one all over the world. Could be Canada, could be Saudi Arabia, could be Australia. They're already having the event in Australia. It could be in London. They'd want to have one in April and one in October beginning in 2020. That is ridiculous that they would even think that. That is ridiculous. The Greatest Royal Rumble was a glorified house show. If you missed it, you didn't miss anything other than Braun Strowman holding up a green title, which hasn't been seen since, and winning a huge-ass trophy that got destroyed 2 weeks later. This WrestleMania is supposed to be the be-all, end-all for the year. WWE, even Bayley cut a promo a couple years ago saying that her Christmas is not in December. Her Christmas was in April when she was a kid. When WrestleMania came around, you had Christmas Eve, which was the Hall of Fame from 2004 and since until now. And then you had WrestleMania, which would be Christmas Day. WWE already, WrestleMania hasn't felt special since and forever. Honestly, WrestleMania has not felt like a real WrestleMania in at least 10, 15 years. And with the fact that the last 2 have gone over 7 hours with the kickoff show, 7 hours past midnight, with Roman Reigns in the last 4 in the main events, with the crowd not giving a fuck. It has not been great for WWE. Now, if they wanted to take WrestleMania and cut it into 2 days, I'm fine with that. Give you WWE Championship on Saturday and WWE and the Universal Championship on Sunday, and give us a 3-hour pay-per-view on each, so you have your 6 hours. But that's it. Fine. But 2 WrestleManias is nothing in WWE special anymore. You already had the Royal Rumble in January. You had the Greatest Royal Rumble, which sucked. Now what? We're going to get SummerSlam and then Super Slam, or the Greatest Slam or something, and then Survivor Series and the Greatest Survivor Series or something later on too. These 2 of the same type events in 1 year. They did this 2 years ago in 2016, I believe, when we had, what was it called? Roadblock. Roadblock was a house show that was televised on the WWE Network as a bridge between, I think it was Elimination Chamber or whatever it was, and WrestleMania. And then we get to the end of the year and they do Roadblock End of the Line. it's just like, why are you doing this? The Greatest Royal Rumble, to me, was an absolute failure as an event. You have the Super Show coming up in October, which is the only show going on at that time now, which is a great, thank fucking God, because what they did before was a mistake. I don't want to see another show like this. Again, WrestleMania needs to be in April, and that's it. This is really showing that Vince McMahon is losing his damn mind. That would be like the Super Bowl being in January or in February, and then the Super Bowl is in December. Or not December, but July. Or the NBA playoffs, the finals is in June, and then August we get the finals part 2. Or the World Series is in October, and we get to January and we have another World Series. Or the Stanley Cup Finals Part 1, and then we have the Stanley Cup Finals Part 2 later on in July, in August. It makes no sense to do this. The Greatest Royal Rumble was a bad idea. You could have just said you could have just made that a house show, not even put it on the network, and everything would have been fine. Everything would have been fine. We do not need to see WrestleMania in April, and then October we get the Greatest WrestleMania. That just diminishes WrestleMania overall, and it's not something WWE should be thinking about. And one more right here, yeah, we have one more, and this one was shocking on Thursday. Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling announced a joint show at Madison Square Garden next year. It was not just a week and a half ago when Ring of Honor, Dave Meltzer, Justin Barrasso, I believe, and Ryan Satin, all the major names were coming out saying Ring of Honor's show in the Garden was canceled by WWE. If that's true, I don't know what changed, but if it wasn't true, they were playing us, because Ring of Honor announced on Thursday that they will be holding a joint card with New Japan Pro Wrestling called G1 Supercard at Madison Square Garden during WrestleMania weekend on Saturday, April 6, 2019. The same time as NXT TakeOver. Sinclair Broadcast Group CEO Chris Ripley told the Blue Business Journal on Baltimore in June that Ring of Honor was planning to make their debut at the Legendary Arena next year. The arena was reportedly reaching out to other wrestling promotions after WWE stopped running the regularly, opting for the Barclays Center in Brooklyn instead. The arena was reportedly also not happy with WWE holding all of their WrestleMania 35 weekend events at the Barclays Center. The reason WWE doesn't use Madison Square Garden other than 2 times a year, I mean, they just had an event last weekend, is because of the cost. It is so expensive to run wrestling in Madison Square Garden. That is why they go with Barclays Center, where it's not as expensive. It's actually cheaper, way cheaper. So WWE doesn't want to foot the cost, even though with this $2 billion coming in the next 5 years, I'm sure they could run a Madison Square Garden pay-per-view or live show in the coming years. A week later, the Ring of Honor event in Madison was reportedly canceled after WWE contacted the arena. Ring of Honor COO Jeff Koff told Mike Johnson of PW Insider that the lawyers would be contacting all the parties involved and that they would be hoping for a resolution. This would be the first time pro wrestling event not promoted by WWE at the Garden Arena in decades. WCW did hold an event at the Paramount Theater, now called the Hulu Theater, in 1996, which is 5,000-seat facility located beneath the Madison Square Garden Arena. AAA also reportedly been looking to hold an event at the Garden. However, there has been no official announcement of that taking place. WWE ran Madison Square Garden just last weekend, which featured a rare Undertaker match in his first time at the arena in nearly 8 years. WWE hasn't held a pay-per-view at the arena since Survivor Series 2011, although 2013 Hall of Fame ceremony took place there. So there you go. They haven't had a pay-per-view in the arena in 7 years. Yes, if I'm the owners or the people working at Madison Square Garden, I'm a little pissed because it's pretty much like Lover's Remorse. The Madison Square Garden is the old Lover, and WWE doesn't want to go there. They want to use the new, they want to go to the new one because it's a lot better to use. It's better facilitated. It's not as bad. It's a lot easier to work around with that one than it is the Madison Square Garden. That was probably a bad analogy. I'm sorry. But this is good for the wrestling business. WWE can't do nothing about this now. It has been set. The date has been set. The event has been named. WWE is now just going to have to sit there and watch. The only thing WWE can do now, is just do what they can to kill this promotion. Can you get Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Cody Rhodes off of this card by having them come to WWE? I don't think so. I think Cody Rhodes has already come out and said that he doesn't want to go back to WWE. He thinks his time in WWE is up, and it's time for him to move forward, and Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling is where he is going to be. This will be interesting to see what happens. I'm going to always watch NXT, of course, TakeOver on April 6th. I watch Ring of Honor here and there when my brew lets me, but it's something that, like, I remember watching a Jay Lethal Will Ospreay match from a couple months ago. That was a great match. But other than that, I really haven't got much I haven't been able to watch much of Ring of Honor. New Japan, I watch every once in a while when I get a chance to, when it comes to, like, the big events, and I can't remember their name. I would love to credit them, but the person who puts the actual matches in full length on YouTube is when I usually catch them. The big matches I want to see. But to those who want to watch Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling content at Madison Square Garden, this would be huge, especially if they sell this place out. And it could happen. I don't think it's going to be 30 minutes like we got for All In, which is going to happen in Chicago on September 1st. I am not going to be All In. I wish I could go to that, but definitely going to be something to look out for next year. We still have many months ahead. You guarantee that Triple H, he's not going to have the card at all done yet, because anything can happen between now and April. But when we get to around January, you bet your ass Triple H and NXT has an idea of where they're going between Arizona or Phoenix. NXT TakeOver, I believe they're in Phoenix. Wherever the Diamond, I think it's the Diamondback Stadium. Wherever they play, wherever that one's going to be, I think it's Phoenix. Between the Royal Rumble weekend and WrestleMania weekend, they're going to have that entire thing mapped out, and we are going to get one of, if not the greatest NXT TakeOver of all time in April of 2019. It's great for the business, and I cannot wait to see what happens, because Vince McMahon might not want to be might not like competition anymore, doesn't want to admit to competition, but Triple H knows that this is going to be competition, and he has to bring the absolute best to NXT TakeOver in 2019 to put on the best show, so people are not going to G1 Supercard and are coming to NXT TakeOver, because we're not that far apart. But that is going to be all for your Unscripted for this week. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like this video. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at The Front. Follow me on twitch.tv/TheFront08. Make sure to follow both of those over there. The first 5-6 minutes of this show was just something I needed to get off my chest, and hopefully a certain somebody is actually watching that, because they need to hear that more than anybody. If you learned anything from that 5-6 minutes of this show, it's this: think before you act, because you don't know who you're going to hurt in the end. It could be you, it could be somebody you care about. Think before you act. But I'll see you guys tomorrow for our Extreme Rules post-show. We will talk about everything Extreme Rules, and also how I'm hoping the PPG Paints Arena will be half empty by the time Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns is over with, so I can sit here be laughing as I start talking about that. Until then, my name is The Franz. You guys have a good one. I will see you guys later.